Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Rolling right along, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Pluckers. I'll be there tonight for sports trivia, 8:30 Nicholson location. Hope to see you out there. Probably see Glen West before that and go over to player interviews at the LSU football facility. Glen joins us every Tuesday with us right now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glen, how we doing?
Doing great, Hunt. Yeah, I'll see you out there this afternoon.
Looking forward to it. I'm guessing Braden Swinson. I'm guessing probably not Caden Durham. He's a freshman. Would imagine maybe Aaron
Mason Taylor?
Anderson.
Maybe Mason Taylor?
Mason Taylor. When are we gonna get the quarterback? When I
Yeah,
used
that'd be
to
nice.
when I
That'd be
used to
nice.
cover the beat back in I guess 11 through 13, the quarterback came every week. I'd like to get some of that, but we'll see. There are kind of two schools of thought on this game. I think that they're on kind of opposite sides. One is LSU's lucky to win the game. Quarterback got hurt, pick sixes off the board. They were lucky to win the game. South Carolina's not good. Or they got down 17-0 on the road in a hostile environment, and they showed some gut and determination. They came out and won the game. Which one are you kind of leaning towards?
Yeah, I'm probably more in the latter camp than the former, but I can see the point of the former as well. I do think that LSU probably shouldn't have won this game, and they just had so many opportunities that they let slip through their fingers really until the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game. I didn't have a great feeling that LSU was going to win that game, and luckily Nussmeier and the offense got the ball back, and they were able to move the ball down the field and score on that 55-yard touchdown drive. But look, I mean, I also take some credence here into what has been said in the aftermath of this game. Like it does take some kind of grit and some kind of learning lesson to kind of go on the road and get down that big early and then come back and kind of fight and claw your way back into the game to where you can even have that opportunity in the last 4 or 5 minutes to go have that game-winning drive. So I think it's a really and I think it's an encouraging performance in that respect, that you just hope that you don't have to do that again too many more times down the stretch, because there are some teams here that if you get down 2, 3 scores in SEC play, whether it's Ole Miss or Alabama, that'll be really, really tough to come back from. And I don't know that you can if you're LSU, given the way things have turned out so far. So, yeah, I think you want to lean more towards the positive than the negative after a game like that, because you did get the win. But certainly there's a lot of areas here where LSU needs to continue to improve.
To that point, Brian Kelly said yesterday they're close. He took two 60-plus yard touchdown runs off the board and then took two red zone empty trips off the board, and then said, yeah, we're close. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a little bit of truth in there, but you got to go make those plays. I mean, you can't just not have some of the inconsistencies in the red zone that LSU has shown at times this year. When this field shortens, they've struggled to punch the ball in the end zone sometimes, and I think it was really important to have that second. Third quarter from Caden Durham. I think he really won you the game because he was able to establish the run. That really opened things up, I think, for the offense in the second half. And they were all kind of off to the races there for a good portion of that second half. I thought LSU's offense moved the ball pretty well in that game in the second half. And I think a big part of that was obviously Caden Durham's ability to show that they could be a threat in the run game. And Nussmeier made some really great throws. He made some really poor decisions. And I guess in LSU's favor, that a couple of those poor decisions didn't go against them. And so they were able to make the plays when they needed to down the stretch. But I do think that this is a game here where they've shown that they can win some of these close games, but they have a lot of work to do to kind of get back into some kind of rhythm here to where they can feel like they can compete at a more consistent level for 4 quarters.
Did Caden Durham surprise you on Saturday?
He did. I mean, look, we hadn't seen a whole ton of him in fall camp. We hadn't, he was a summer enrollee, so you would figure he's a guy that would take some time to kind of learn, pick things up from the college system. LSU, they do show an openness to play the freshmen, but usually it's been those spring enrollees that have had those extra couple months to kind of learn the system and get used to college. So, but major credit to him. I mean, he was the blueprint. He showed these running backs the blueprint. And I think that was a nice way of Kelly putting it after the game. Like, He's a guy that can break tackles. He can hit the holes hard, and he can make guys miss. And you have to be able to do that in this league in order to show that you can run the ball. So I was really impressed by his performance. I would imagine he gets a similar workload here over the next couple weeks, but I also don't think that they're going to go away from Caleb Jackson or Josh Williams. Like I think those two are still going to be super involved from a running game perspective. But Caden Durham's showing that he can be that guy and rattle off a couple of explosive runs and be kind of a consistent threat for defenses to pay attention to was an extremely important development in that South Carolina game. And I would argue it was the most positive development you could have coming out of South Carolina.
What about Caleb Jackson's involvement and what you've seen from him thus far? I mean, are you a little surprised he hasn't gotten going a little more?
I am because he was another guy in fall camp. I mean, you were out there, and the times that the LSU was running the ball well, it was mainly Caleb Jackson turning it up 15, 20 yards or breaking off an explosive play. I'm a little surprised at kind of how the inconsistency has been with him in his game, and I think it's a little bit on him, it's a little bit on the offensive line, it's a little bit on the play calling or whatever you want to call it, but they just have not been able to spring him loose. He had the 119-yard run in the third quarter there right out of the gate. I think that was a really nice play for him, and it was a play design that LSU kind of leaned into for the rest of the game. They kind of shifted the offensive line right, ran the running back left, and kind of diverted the linebackers' eyes to where they could open up some holes for the running backs to spring left. And major credit to Durham for doing that in the second half and hitting those holes and turning upfield, and Jackson on that one play. But he's a guy that you need. I've said this from the very start of the spring camp. Like, I think the best version of this offense is when Caleb Jackson is getting downhill and finding ways to make explosive plays. We saw it last year as a true freshman in limited sample sizes, but he's also had pretty limited sample sizes here, and he just hasn't had the same effect. So I'll be very curious to see if they can spring him loose over the next couple weeks and if he can make the most out of the opportunities he gets.
Defensively, huge plays on the ground. Do they have a chance to clean that up, or is that just kind of still part of what they are defensively?
Yeah, I mean, until they can kind of prove it, I think you just have to go with the assumption that these explosive plays are still going to happen to this team a couple times a game. I mean, that the fact that it happened against Nicholls State and it happened against USC and now it's happened here against South Carolina. I think this defense has gotten better in some areas. I think it's certainly proven that it can be more. I guess the word that Blake Baker likes to use is chaotic or wreak havoc. I think they've shown a little bit more intensity in that respect. But yeah, look, these explosive plays are absolutely an issue that LSU has to get right. I mean, I think opponents are averaging around 7 or 8 yards a play on LSU right now, and that's just not going to get it done. And you can say, yeah, let's take out these two plays, after the fact, but the fact is you still gave up those two plays and they were huge plays in the game, huge momentum swings. And, one of them came right when you were just about to kind of take advantage and build a lead. And then the other one came when you had a lead and you gave it right back up on the next play. So those things just can't happen, down the stretch if you want to win big time games against the Ole Misses, against the Alabamas, against Oklahoma, the last game of the year on the road against Texas A&M. You've got to shore up that angle of the defense here. I thought, overall the secondary didn't get a whole lot of opportunities to show to strut their stuff a little bit, but they made some plays when they needed them most. The Zy Alexander pick was obviously a huge play in that game. But they still got to figure out, kind of these explosive plays and a way to limit them because I think South Carolina, of the 398 yards they had, 364 yards came off of, 10 or 11 explosive plays. I mean, like they've been getting these big chunk plays that have been kind of the defense's bugaboo, and we'll see if they can kind of get it course corrected. But right now they hadn't given you much faith that they can do it.
Obviously, the ground's a huge problem. Nicholls busted big ones, and obviously South Carolina did as well. They haven't necessarily busted coverages at the clip
Right.
that they did last year. They're not great covering, but at least they're kind of in the right spot. Does that give you hope?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you're in the right spot and the ball gets tipped or something like that, if you get a deflection and the ball pops up in the air, it's nice that you have some defensive backs that are in the area that can maybe go make a play on that ball or something like that. Like I do think from a coverage standpoint, LSU has been a little bit better, and I do think that that was something that we saw in the fall, especially when they got into those 11-on-11 drills. Those defensive backs were making some more plays. Look, I mean, I just. The explosive play thing is just going to be the biggest question mark here is like, when do those happen? At what point in the game? And can LSU overcome them? And we'll see kind of as these games develop if that's possible. But I do think that Zy Alexander, Ashton Stamps, Deshaun Spears getting some more opportunity the last couple weeks. I think Jordan Allen, when he's been healthy, has shown you that he can do some things. So they have a couple guys. I would like to see PJ Woodland. I mean, we didn't see a whole lot of him, if at all, against South Carolina. I'd like to see him find his way back into the rotation. But there's some guys that have been making some plays. It's just can they get the consistency out of them on a week-to-week basis is still going to be the question mark there.
Glen West, senior writer at Go 24/7. All your team coverage, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, or recruiting, they got you covered over there at Go 24/7. Glen's with us every single Tuesday. We appreciate it, man.
All right. Thanks, Hunt. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.